Opened fire outside a museum in the capital, killing 17 foreigners. 2 attackers are also dead, but more might be at large. CCTV's Roee Ruttenburg brings us more on the investigation. If you can, quite a scene. Just walk us through what happened.
Well, around midday, a group of tourists arrived at the National Bardo Museum there in Tunis, right next to the Parliament building, and gunmen opened fire on them. Afterwards, those gunmen entered the museum, took many people hostage. That lasted for around 3 hours before security forces raided the building. Several people killed in that attack, including 2 attackers, 2 employees, local employees of the museum, and by some estimates, 20 foreigners, including 5 Japanese, a number of Europeans. We understand that number may go up. Dozens injured now in the hospital, and authorities still looking for 3 people that they say they believe were involved either in logistical support or somehow assisted those attackers. A very unusual Wednesday, middle of the week in Tunis, right there in the middle of town, and a surprise to many people who weren't expecting this sort of attack in the Tunisian capital.
Yeah, those of us who watched it on TV unfolding, you've seen these parade of ambulances leaving the site, just unbelievable. Let's talk a little bit, if you can, frame it in terms of context, because Tunisia, it's the birthplace of the Arab Spring. Many people look at it as kind of a model, things going well, kind of comes as a surprise to many, but it is bordered by countries that have had their fair share of turmoil.
Well, absolutely. It was a model for transition because in 2011, the fall of Zine el-Abidine Ben Ali, a smooth transition to democracy that brought a lot of tourists back who thought it was stable and secure. But separately, they've had a number of issues. You have to remember, to the east is Libya with its insecurity. You have several Tunisians fighting there for the Islamic State. One prominent Tunisian leading a contingent of his ISIL fighters killed last week. Also many fighting in Syria coming back. At least 30 arrested last month on suspicion of being militants and planning, quote, spectacular attacks. Separate from that, you also have incidents in the west with Tunisian forces combating al-Qaeda-linked operatives. And I want to take you through some of the attacks, just some of the timeline. February and July 2013, 2 opposition leaders, secularists, killed, jihadists claiming responsibility for both of that. Within the same week, 8 soldiers killed there on the Algerian border. October 30th, a suicide bomber blows himself up. That's in 2013. 2014, we see 7 militants killed, 4 policemen killed, 15 soldiers killed in a mountain operation. 6 militants then killed in a raid by police. And of course, now we're seeing this confrontation. Many of those operatives, both from the Islamic State and also from al-Qaeda's operation there along the Algerian border in Mount Chambi, saying they will bring this operation to Tunis, to the capital. We've seen a lot of threats. Also an attack, if you recall, 2012 on the U.S. Embassy. 4 people killed in that attack. We've seen also tweets of solidarity, both from ISIL supporters saying this is finally what you've been waiting for, but also an interesting note, Je suis Bardo, saying I am the museum's name. That, of course, synonymous with those tweets that we saw following the attacks in France. And that, of course, echoes the sentiments coming from Tunisian officials who are saying this is just another example of the global war on terror, the same war, the same terror that they've been dealing with in Egypt, in France, in the rest of Europe. Now they're dealing with in Tunis.